Thick smoke rises over northern Gaza, where Israeli forces stepped up an assault near Jabalia. Residents there say tanks and armored vehicles pushed deeper into the area in some of the most intense fighting in weeks. Some medical workers were unable to reach the camp, while the number of civilians injured and dead rises. Nearly 100 bodies were recovered in the past week. While the UN says more than 100,000 people have been displaced from the north, in Rafah in the south, more than 650,000 Palestinians have been pushed out. Many streets are empty since an Israeli evacuation order ahead of a promised full-scale invasion.
We still don't believe, that the way to do it is to smash into Rafah with a large body of armed forces on the ground in an indiscriminate and reckless manner.
That message will be hand-delivered by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who's headed to the region this weekend. He'll also attempt to restart deadlocked ceasefire talks. Sullivan's first stop is Saudi Arabia on Saturday.
On Sunday, the next day, Mr. Sullivan will travel to Israel to meet with senior Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, to discuss, of course, the war in Gaza, including ongoing negotiations to secure the release of all the hostages.
Aid deliveries began on Friday from a temporary U.S.-built floating pier off the Gaza coast. The eventual goal is more than 100 trucks every day, but the UN says it will not relieve the overwhelming humanitarian crisis.
Getting aid to people in need into and across Gaza cannot and should not depend on a floating dock far from where needs are most acute.
The reopening of the Rafah crossing is most desperately needed for medical supplies.
We don't have medical supplies. We don't have a fuel. We have hospitals that are under evacuation order. We have a situation where we cannot move physically.
Israel has reportedly said it will hold off on its full-scale military operation in Rafah until Sullivan has met with the Netanyahu government over the weekend. The White House would not comment on reports that a long-term, more targeted Israeli military operation already taking place in Rafah could achieve much the same carnage. Craig Boswell, TRT World.